on the right foot yesterday. It was a long game, though. Wasn't maybe the cleanest, but they got the dub. We're going to have to see if they can do it against a little bit stiffer competition in Cloud9. You know, people are coming into this split looking at it as a big four and kind of like a bottom four, right? And Cloud9 is one of those teams that are considered to be up at the top with FlyQuest, with TL, with 100 Thieves. So we're going to see if Shopify can kind of punch above their expected weight.
And I mean, when we looked at all of us here on the broadcast team and our power rankings yesterday for where we expected all the teams to be, it was not a single one of us had any of those top four and the bottom four and vice versa. But when you looked at it, overall, Shopify was the team that had the highest average rating between everybody on the talent team, at least, of the bottom four. So it seems like if there's anybody that might be able to make a push, that would kind of be the dark horse squad. Yesterday, they had a very solid early game, and then the Otacon disaster turned it into a 53-minute battle for the ages. But we'll see how well they can do today, because just like yesterday, Contractz played the first Naafiri ever in North American Professional League of Legends history. Today, he will be back on it again for a second game, locked in first pick of the entire draft.
And Bvoy is playing the Ezreal again. We'll see if they do just kind of run back. Very similar composition to what they did yesterday. Aurora would be the same pick as what they picked yesterday. Ari obviously kind of fulfills a similar role, but it is looking like they're probably going to lock this Aurora, and that would be the exact same 3 picks for those 3 roles that they had yesterday. So they are just kind of going with the tried and the true. Cloud9 on the other side, obviously mixing things up quite a bit. Vi, Taliyah as a combo, very, very strong. They did kind of struggle to get Loki involved. He had a pretty rough game on the Rise. Did about the same amount of damage in a 40-minute Rise game as his Lee Sin did, which is very shocking. Thanatos, you know, was kind of playing that split push style too. So this looks more like easy setup, you know, point and click CC. You have great follow-up with the Varus, with the Taliyah. So, you know, they are kind of simplifying and throwing some bans up towards Fudge to maybe try to get Thanatos a preferential matchup, looking like they're trying to target, you know, some of these kind of safe blind picks.
Yep, and I do think, however, despite the fact that Vi Taliyah is one of those proven combos, if I'm playing Naafiri, I am so happy to see both of these champions. You can never get hit by Taliyah's shove if you're awake and you have your W off cooldown as Naafiri. Also being able to use it to get away from the guaranteed Vi engage. The champion just has a lot of outs against them both. Cassante and Galio banned out. Poppy banned out here in the second half. Shopify with 1 ban left to go.
The Galio ban always makes me think of Rumble, because that's kind of that top lane counter pick. But there is also the potential that they're worried about that going mid, and then, you know, this Aurora going up towards top lane. So we'll see if it is going to be any shenanigans with the flex. Instead of actually saving the top lane for counterpick here for Thanatos on red side, they are going to use support counterpick on 5, and they're going to blind the Gnar. I don't think that Fudge would really be going towards any of the kind of really big counter picks. Things like the Yasuo and the Aurelia are the ones that you most likely think of. Things like Quinn can also be quite good. They are hovering it, but I don't really expect to see it locked in. You kind of have to be a specialist usually on those champions for it to work out.
It's very uncommon to really see it slam down. The Ambessa is something that much more predictable, much more expected. Fudge will be piloting that one. And again, if I remember right, this is still another one of those champs locked in the same as what they were running yesterday. Shopify pretty happy with that composition.
Yeah, 4 out of 4 are the same. So we'll see if it's going to be the Leona. That would make it 5 out of 5, the exact same comp that they did actually play yesterday. And
it's the same 5 champions.
It's the exact same 5. And I'm not even surprised, you know, once they got this far in, because it's like, well, you need hard engage, right? And what's going to say something he'll be comfortable on is going to be that Leona. I will say their comp is very, very squishy. So, yeah, you know, Naafiri, not the easiest ult target for Vi, but pretty much ult anyone except Leona, and you can potentially 100 to 0 them, right? You know, there is a lot of CC, a lot of follow-up here on the C9 squad. They're going to go with Alistar as the answer to be able to kind of reject some of those Leona engages. And again, between the Gnar, the Vi, as well as this Alistar, if you can find really any of these carries, any of the 4 on the top side, it is going to be very, very rough.
So which side of the draft would you prefer here?
I like C9s a lot more, honestly. I just think, you know, it's kind of a more stable composition because you have more of that front line, you know, more of the easy ways to engage. Really, you know, for Shopify, you're looking at potentially like a Palafox flank or Seos engage, and kind of that's it. Vi obviously is going to bring a lot more consistency as far as the engage. They have things like Weaver's Wall to cut them off and block them off. Alistar engage, potential for an R flank. So I do think they have easier ways to start the fight, and against a very squishy comp, that can work well. That being said, if you don't nail your engage, because there's so many threats on the Shopify comp, they can definitely run you over, right? If you flub your engage or someone survives it or whatever, well, now all these individuals are going to be, having so much damage that they're putting out on the Shopify side.
And I'm glad you mentioned Weaver's Wall specifically, because in Shopify's game yesterday, the one that had to go for 53 minutes, they were also against Taliyah, and it was that Weaver's Wall, that big engage that happened around the Otacon halfway through the game that I mentioned as the turning point, where it went from Shopify domination to all of a sudden this drawn-out just slog of a battle between the two teams. Even after the game, when I was walking through the kitchen backstage, I was talking to one of our production guys, mentioning how long the game had gone, and Palafox was like, wait, did it really go 53 minutes? And I was like, yeah, man. And he was like, man, that one should have been over at 26. So even the players on Shopify recognizing that was the moment where it kind of fumbled a little bit. So that's what I'll really be looking for here today is, number one, can they build the same type of a lead against a team that you already mentioned, a higher caliber here in C9? And if they can build it, can they keep it without that little bit of rocky road there?
Yeah, that is going to be a really big question, and can Blaber and Loki have a bit of a bounce back game here? Blaber wasn't super happy with how he performed yesterday, and Loki did have a really rough game, so don't want to be starting off 0-2 as one of those expected top teams. It is going to be Poke Varus here from Zven. You can see he's playing Comet.
Yeah.
Nothing else really kind of too out of the ordinary. Loki going to be playing Phase Rush. Makes a lot of sense. There are a lot of these melee divers, champions that you are just going to be trying to kite back from.
The other thing I'm also looking for now, with lane swaps completely dead and kind of the emergence of these carry top matchups coming out more, like yesterday we even got to see, Riven versus Gwen in one of the games, is how frequently we will see double combat summoner spells in top lane versus another teleport. That is one of those things that I think can factor a lot into the macro game. Obviously, it's not going to matter in this particular game just because, everything's very stock and standard. But Bvoy with the barrier compared to the cleanse on Zven, a little bit of difference in respecting CC versus raw damage there. Naafiri still OP. I agree with you, Kobe. I don't... Okay, never mind. I thought he spelled it wrong at first, but that's just a lot of eyes. Okay. Seos and Bvoy, just trying to get a little bit of control here.
He spelled it wrong, and those are a lot of eyes.
All right. I appreciate you having my back there. I appreciate you having my back. But no, I agree. I think Naafiri is very strong, and I'm kind of excited still, even if it is super strong, to just see what our players can do with it, since it's a champion that before yesterday had never been played in North American Pro League before.
Absolutely, and I just think it's fun when there's different kind of styles and classes of champions that can fit into the role, right? Traditionally in jungle, we haven't had really any assassins in a really, really long time. And Naafiri does kind of fit that bill, so it's fun to see that mixed up and just a little bit of variety. And it looks like Contractz maybe looking for an invade here, was kind of crossing over and potentially wanted to try to find Blaber at this red buff.
And this is the exact same thing Contractz did yesterday. He knows that he's going to be there faster than the Vi. It's the exact same play as it was on day one. He hops under the brush right next to the red. He knows he's stronger in the 1v1 at level 3. Forces Blaber out of the jungle, and just like yesterday as well, it's Fudge with control over the top lane, it's Palafox with push in mid. With both his solo laners having control, Contractz feels confident moving into enemy territory. He throws the ward down over the wall there, sees Blaber on the Krugs, and does not want to allow Blaber any breathing room. Thanatos doesn't want to have to leave the turret. He's got this wave to pick up. This is a very stressful situation for C9.
Yeah, and Blaber uses Smite, but it looked like Contractz got it, and he's going to get almost all of the mini Krugs there, so really successful invade here for Contractz. Can't even go back towards that red and potentially start that up, but I'd like to talk about Fudge a little bit. Obviously, this is kind of his first foray outside of Cloud9. For a while, he was kind of looking like one of the franchise guys for Cloud9. He had been there for quite some time. He's been around for quite a while in NA, right? All of this time was on Cloud9, and now he's stepping off of the team. Obviously, he didn't have a slot even when he was on Cloud9 at the end of last year, so now moved out and is looking to try to get a little bit of revenge. And we had Kobe kind of interviewing him earlier, talking about it's a bit of an ego battle. You're going up against your old squad, and traditionally people have not done very well when they leave Cloud9 against Cloud9, because Cloud9 is almost always one of those top teams in the league. The only ex-Cloud9 player with a positive win rate is Impact, because he obviously joined Liquid mostly and has done very well there. Won a lot of championships with them, so largely it just hasn't been that successful. So this would mean a lot, I think, to Fudge. It took Licorice, I mentioned on the desk, I think it was something like 14 games to get a win against Cloud9.
Yeah.
You just couldn't get any wins against them. And it's one of those things where it's like, you want to prove them wrong. You want to show, you shouldn't have replaced me. Like, I am better than this guy.
And they're off to a solid start here with Contractz getting that invade early on in the jungle. Obviously, you know, we're not talking about summoner spells getting spent or anybody just really losing an insane amount of tempo early on. But Contractz being able to make that play now 2 games in a row shows me that this is a composition, a play style that Shopify has been practicing. They know they're going to have advantages in those side lanes, or in those solo lanes, excuse me, and that they're going to be able to use Contractz as early pressure against something like a Vi that is like, what, the most common pro play jungler right now? I like the fact that they're crafting these specific strategies, knowing what they can do against a champion that is entirely predictable to likely be an opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And Blaber knows he's just going to have less camps to farm, so he has 2 charges of Smite. He just pulls the Dragon with a Smite and is going to be over on this. Someone's going to have to move and probably help him on this. Can't just allow Fudge to stop it because he's invested a lot of time.
Right.
So now Thanatos and Loki are coming down. They will be able to secure this Dragon, and they did it quite early, so Grubs haven't even spawned, which means there is still that potential for them to challenge up on the top side. Of course, it did take both his charges of Smite, but I think this is great from Blaber. Yeah. Thanatos is going to take a really rough trade, but you know, we know how frustrating it can be when you get invaded. It feels awful giving up these camps. It can feel like you're out of the game.
Oh, that was really close there. Thanatos getting out of the way of the public execution, had to flash. Would have been very dangerous to be caught by that as the mini Gnar. So Fudge wanted to go for it, pulls a free summoner spell on that one. Thanatos still with about half HP as Shopify, once again, just trying to use the power of the Naafiri, quick clear that enemy chicken camp. They've got control over the top lane, and they know it, so they're heading back into the Grubs now.
Yeah, I mean, Blaber was there, you know, for that spawn of the Raptors. He was there to cover it and try to take it away, but Seos came in as well. They just do this 2-man invade. Contractz and Seos working well together. That's going to get them prio there. They know they're going to be able to take the Grubs now as well. So things looking pretty solid here for Shopify, but at the end of the day, it is just a trade of Dragon for Grubs. And this kind of slight jungle lead here for Contractz has amounted to a couple hundred gold lead for the team overall, but there's still some more farm to collect, and it's pretty much dead even.
Yeah, you see small leads kind of everywhere. I mean, if you're a Shopify fan, you're happy to see all of those bars at the bottom looking blue, but it's not really a blue that you can count on being there after a couple more minions get farmed, right? Plus 33, plus 6, plus 20. Not really anything crazy. I do also want to keep an eye on Palafox's Aurora this game. In the previous game that we saw from them yesterday, there were a lot of moments, because of the fact that this composition really only has the big go button in Leona, that Palafox would soft engage with Between Worlds to kind of get everybody to panic, spread apart a little bit. But there were also a couple of oopsies that he had, accidentally hitting the barrier on the side of it when he wanted to chase over the wall and whatnot. So just cleaning up a little bit of that, getting the precision down on the champion and being able to facilitate the rest of the team fighting with the space that they want to, I think will be really important if they want to step up and beat Cloud9.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Aurora is actually really hard to team fight on as well. To do it very well is tough. The laning can be pretty powerful and pretty straightforward, but the 5v5s are tricky. You know, sometimes actually being able to use Between Worlds, bouncing back and forth properly, you know, utilizing the resets on your hop to be able to actually dodge skill shots out in the midst of everything. And you are kind of just like one of those shotgun champs where your upfront burst is so high, but if any of that gets missed or dodged, you don't really have anything left, right? Like, that's it. So it is definitely tough on the execution, but especially when you have a lot of dive with you, it can kind of create that chaos, and you can go in, you throw down the Between Worlds, you slow them up, and all of a sudden everyone else dodges in. Nice sidestep. Ooh,
yeah, that was a perfect sidestep there from Thanatos, and Fudge, now with the arrival of Blaber, has nowhere to go. It's a fist to the face, and it's C9 on the board first.
Really well done there. Just clean sidestep from Thanatos. Not sure if Fudge really would have been able to get out either way. Probably pretty tough, and I think with Blaber already coming in, I think he probably was dead to rights, but made it look easy. Has the early tabbies here already, as you've seen Gnars almost always go in these kind of matchups. Palafox here to support Contractz on yet another Raptor invade, so just continuously stealing away some of these resources, but with Blaber having gotten that kill on the top side, you know, he's not behind in gold at all, and it's C9 now that's enjoying these ever so small advantages.
Uh-oh, Contractz is ready to go, though. He finds Blaber at the red yet again. This dog lives in the jungle, and Blaber did not heed the warnings, man. That wolf is on the prowl. Contractz tying up the game in kills.
I mean, that was a really good approach from Contractz as well. You can see that there was a ward in this brush, and I think Blaber was saying, if I'm going to get attacked at the red, he's going to wrap through banana brush, and I'm going to have him spotted there. Just kite back towards, you know, my side of the jungle, towards my tier 2 tower. But instead, Contractz wraps all the way around the outside and comes from a pretty unexpected angle. So Blaber just didn't see him coming. He gets punished.
Plus, since Blaber already used the flash in the top lane to make the first blood play on Fudge, since he didn't have his flash left to use, you can see Contractz still has ulti available. He didn't even need it to chase down the Vi. As soon as he finds him at the red, it's already over. And now Vulcan working together with Loki. Palafox in some serious danger. Needs to try to get away from that one. Does manage to create enough distance there. But man, not too happy about the way that one played out. Luckily, still has his flash.
Yeah, good chunk there from Vulcan finding the catch. And this is just that pathing I'm talking about. You know, Blaber has the ward on his left side, so he's thinking he can just kite back towards the right. The reason he's kiting back towards that brush is because he's saying that will be the opposite direction someone will be coming through. But this is just really clever. I'm not sure if someone tracked that ward or if this is just like him guessing that that would be where the ward would be. By the way, great pathing from Contractz.
Okay, C9 ready to turn around to play onto Shopify now as Contractz and Seos wanted to step forward. As soon as they see the backup coming for C9, though, you can see the Hound's pursuit from Contractz. That's the everybody fall back button, and nothing ends up coming from it. We do have the second Drake live on the map now. Second set of Grubs about to spawn at the same time. Seos, Palafox, and Contractz making their way down into the bot side river now. The Leona does have level 6. Vulcan, however, with the Unbreakable Will also ready to go here on this Alistar. Palafox heading back down into bottom lane to catch the wave that is crashing into the turret, while the rest of C9 now has the opportunity to move into the bot side river, see if they can overtake control, steal that back from Shopify. And nobody wants to be the one to overcommit. Nobody wants to hit that gas pedal too hard. As Contractz just jumps over the wall, he'll start the dragon up all by himself.
Yeah, Contractz going to be able to solo this up pretty easily. Cloud9, I think, wanted the dragon, but didn't feel like they were in a position that they would really be able to go for it. We're hoping maybe to get a pick prior and then have that prompt it. With the early Eclipse, Contractz is very, very strong. It's a cheap item, and it's really powerful on that one item completion. So Blaber instead is saying, you know what, let's not mess with it. I'm building towards the Triforce. That's going to take me a while to get there. So just going to go up towards the top side and try to trade the Grubs. And as long as they can get all three, then they at least deny any of those Grub spawns from their opponents.
Exactly. They'll feel perfectly fine about it. They handshook the first one way. They'll handshake the second one the other way.
But they're coming. And so if they can get this last one, it's actually pretty big, and they will push them out. So Shopify should be able to get the fourth Grub, which means no feat progress for Cloud9 because they don't get the full 3.
Plus baby Grubbies.
Exactly, plus the baby Grubs.
Easy stuff there for Shopify. Nicely done, well rotated. Fudge versus Thanatos up here in the top lane is almost a, 15 CS lead there for Thanatos over Fudge. Fudge wants to make his entry into the fight, but Seos misses the solar flare, flashes away, even though the Zenith Blade still tags him there at the very end. Contractz continue to move forward. Yeah, Palafox is there, goes between worlds. Thanatos is low, not low enough though, still alive for now, 100 HP remaining. They commit the resources they need to, and Fudge takes the kill. Shopify Rebellion, they sent 4 up there and they were getting the kill, damn it.
Yeah, they got the kill. I mean, not the cleanest execution. Seos and Fudge, a little bit of a kind of miss teamwork there as Seos missed the ulti even with that public execution stun coming out. I think he didn't realize that he was going to get kind of knocked back from that. But because they have so many extra members and Cloud9 had no one in the area to cover Thanatos, ends up not mattering. They get the kill. Cloud9 will trade for some plates and some lost minions down in that bot lane. Yep. But at the end of the day, it's another good play here from Shopify. The game, though, still pretty much dead even. It's a dragon apiece. You know, that couple grub advantage. The gold is exactly the same.
And you can see down in the bottom lane, Loki, who is the one that was benefiting from getting the extra turret plate money. He does have his Rod of Ages already stacking. This item getting changed around a little bit. Having the better build path becomes much more appealing to a lot of mid lane champions. His tier also up to 260 stacks. So going for the double stacking first 2 items just feels so powerful once they're both fully online.
It definitely does. I will say it's a pretty defensive build here from Loki. You know, you're not going anything that's a little bit higher damage, but I think, you know, in this kind of a composition, it makes some sense, right? There's Ambessa, there's Naafiri, there's Aurora, there's Leona. It's like all dive. Even Ezreal, if you get hit by CC, can throw the True-Shot Barrage over the top. So I think his thought process is, you know, I play this kind of tankier style with the Seraph Shield, with the stacking Rod of Ages, and I have that phase rush, and that's going to keep me safe.
Loki trying to get away from Fudge now, though. Vulcan is down here to try to protect his mid laner, but Shopify Rebellion is sending more troops. Loki flashing away from the Zenith Blade, tries to sidestep out of the solar flare, but the dog is there, and Shopify secure the first feat. 3 kills on the board for them, up 700 gold. Contractz 2-0-1 on the Naafiri, having another good showing on the champ.
Yeah, really well done. They just have the extra man down there. I think Loki was thinking, I am baiting Fudge because I have Vulcan in the brush here, but the extra member comes in. Contractz is there, as is Seos, and Seos has been just kind of moving around the map here with Contractz, helping him on some of these invades, now helping him down in that bot lane. They are able to find the kill and get the flash there off of Loki. Yes, it cost the flash from Seos, but that's not that big of a deal. And they're going to have Loki in a much more difficult spot here, potentially coming into this next dragon fight.
Big moves for C9, though, taking the tier 1 turret on the other side of the map as retaliation. That's going to give them a single feat for themselves. So it's all going to come down to these neutral objectives as Contractz with the level advantage over Blaber, going to continue chasing that Vi through his jungle. The damage is just insane, man. Blaber had to flash, so scared that the dog would have enough damage to bring him down.
And I mean, it's Seos again, right? Just moving around with Contractz. They've been relentless with this, just non-stop on these invades here. C9 now has a 3-man squad trying to contest this, but their jungler isn't even here, so it's tough, but they are going to be able to grab it. Zven does finish it off. Nicely done by Cloud9, while Blaber just continues farming down on that bot side, but at the same time, they will lose the tier 1 top because that was getting worked away on by Palafox, so it's just been kind of relentless aggression here from Contractz. And I like that he is pushing this advantage. I like that he's playing in the face of Blaber,
yeah,
you know, and really not allowing Blaber to kind of play the game that he wants. Plus, it has the added benefit of just tracking where this Vi is all the time. It's so tough for him to actually find any successful plays when Naafiri's always in his face and you know where he is.
I mean, me and Kobe were talking about this a little bit yesterday since me and him are both jungle mains as players, but being a high damage jungler and you have a support on your team who is playing a heavy CC champ and he does not care about his AD carry and all he wants to do is roam with you is just the best feeling as a jungler because you're set up to constantly run not only your jungle, but the enemy one too.
Absolutely. I mean, Seos has been very, very active on the map. Obviously, you're playing with Bvoy on the Ezreal. He can kind of just chill and farm, right? It's pretty tough to take down an Ezreal when he has flash, when he has barrier, when he has shift. So Bvoy just playing it safe and it's allowing Seos just be kind of unchained on the map. And it's nice to see what the addition in this game in a bit has done so far for them. But Cloud9, lots of members down here.
Yeah, they want to go after Fudge, beat up the old teammate. Fudge with a flash out. Blaber goes in. Nice use of the public execution to try to reverse the ulti there, but it's not enough. Fudge still drops. Loki gets the kill. That's where C9 would like to see it, and they'll be happy with that play.
Yep, going to be a nice move from Cloud9 down towards that bottom side. Are rewarded with the kill on Fudge. Cost him his flash too, and no big summoners spent.
Oh, wow. Contractz going all the way in after Zven there. So much burst damage onto the C9 AD carry. Very fortunate that Thanatos is there. Otherwise, guaranteed death at the hands of that Naafiri ulti. But now that that spell is down, C9 feels more confident heading into the Drake themselves. Thanatos is here. There's your Solar Flare. Lands onto a value target in Blaber, but do they have the damage to burn him down? A little bit more is going to be needed. Yes, Contractz gets a killing spree. Meanwhile, Palafox is just running circles around everybody else, and Fudge is ready to factor in. True shot barrage over the top, and Bvoy claims Vulcan. Shopify Rebellion just broke two of their jaws and took the dragon out from under them.
Nicely done by Shopify, able to kind of win out on both sides. It seemed like Cloud9 were pretty confident to still take that fight, try to actually force on the dragon, but Zven was pushed back to base. Blaber gets isolated on one side, and even though Thanatos is coming in with the Gnar, which is what I think really gave them confidence, couldn't really find anything because Palafox was just kind of schmoving on him in the 1v3, dancing back and forth, and able to make it work. Softens him up enough that they're able to get the kill with the True Shot Barrage on the exit.
I mean, this is what I was saying I wanted to see at the start of the game. I wanted to see Contractz having another strong carry performance on Naafiri, Palafox creating space in meaningful ways on the Aurora so they can get the fights with this low CC composition. I'm liking what I'm seeing here in the first 18 minutes from Shopify, but Azael, we are getting towards that point of the game that I cautioned against earlier. They've checked the first box. They've had a strong early game. They've gotten out to a nice lead. Now they need to continue. No big macro errors. No bad calls that lead to a crazy team fight because they're looking good with fights like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can see it one more time. You know, look at Blaber down on that right side. It's kind of just completely sectioned off from the rest of the team. And then on the top side, we have Palafox here just in this 1v3, dancing back and forth between worlds, lands all of his poke there onto Vulcan, softens him up enough that the True Shot Barrage there from Bvoy is able to knock them down. Really well played team fight, but definitely some overconfidence as well, it feels like, from Cloud9 to be pushing in there without Zven, who is at this really strong point.
A tale of two support staff rooms, as you can see Jack, a little frustration on his face. Meanwhile, Revan getting a little bit hyped up as the Shopify boys are finding those angles. And it feels even better, too, because not only do you get the kill on Bvoy, but Vulcan flashed at the very end, thinking all he had to escape from was Fudge. Alistar losing Flash is a big minus, I don't know, however many points for the next team fight when Alistar can't use that for playmaking.
Get a little bit of poke there onto Seos, but so far, Contractz having an amazing game. You know, got the early invades, gets that punish on Blaber, pushing him out of his jungle, finds him then later and kills him off with Blaber's missing flash and all, has 100% KP, has been everywhere on these objectives, constantly in the face of Cloud9, and has the Rift Herald to boot, so it is still pretty much dead even in gold, but you are expecting them to be able to crack the tier 1 or maybe even pressure a tier 2 or something with that Herald. And they're the ones who got that second dragon. It is Infernal, which is going to be really strong for both sides.
Yeah.
It's really high damage comps. It's comps that have easy ways to apply it with their poke. So it's going to be pivotal. And we'll see if Cloud9 is ready to fight at this next dragon, because it feels like if you give Shopify that third dragon for free, it could be really tough later to stop them.
And we have been singing a lot of Shopify's praises throughout this early game. They have more kills, they have more objectives. It seems like they should be very far ahead, but the gold lead itself is very, very modest. C9 keeping this game on a razor's edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of that is just farm, right? You know, you can see a bit of a farm advantage, a couple waves on top side. It was around 35, 40 CS in mid lane as well. And Cloud9 has done a good job while they're kind of losing out on skirmishes and getting pushed out of their jungle. They're the ones moving around the map and trying to trade towers. They're up one tower despite the fact being down pretty significantly on kills. So that has kept them very, very close here. And it's really kind of up to Contractz, because Contractz is up 2 levels right now. It will shortly be about a level and a half. But you know, he has almost all of their gold, right? Like, he has everything. So they're going to be trying to force this Otacon. C9 don't have the information just now, but Loki is hanging out in the area, and I feel like they have got to be wondering where everyone is.
They've got to have an inclination that this is going on. A couple of control wards there with the Tri-Brush. Yeah, as soon as you see Seos just really protecting this Tri-Brush that adamantly. But no, C9, they don't want anything to do with it. They're going to give the Voracious Otacon. So Shopify, this time around, the second time's the charm. The Otacon will not be a stumbling point in this game as they secure it without a fight 22 minutes into the game.
And we'll see how much they can actually get from this. You know, Voracious, having the GAs is really strong for this next dragon fight, right? So that is kind of the big thing here. You know, they won't have it up for the Baron when that spawns. Getting the one with all the plans, like getting Runus, I do think it's stronger overall, but given the state of the game, it's going to be so hard for Cloud9 to actually contest at this next dragon. So we'll see if they even try to do it, or if they're just going to have to give up that third dragon and pray that they can stop Shopify from ever getting another one after that.
Well, we do have the Rift Herald summoned up at the same time. This is so obnoxious if you're C9. Nice engage coming out from Seos. Blaber has been found. Point blank, Naafiri ulti to lock onto him. A little bit more damage is required, and yes, there it is. Fudge takes him down, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Seos loses the false life, regenerating back in the base right now. So not a true 1-for-1, but still 4v4 right now as both teams jockey for position. Here in the mid lane, Palafox goes between worlds. Loki's caught out in a little bit of danger now, but a nice use of seismic shove into the unraveled earth that keeps Shopify at bay. Vulcan re-engaging now into Contractz. He jumps himself back out too. Thanatos wants the engage. Big slam on a Palafox. Knocks him into the wall with the Mega Gnar. Another false life claimed. C9 now with a 4-man push squad here in the mid lane. They'll take down that tier 1 turret and take the gold lead.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take down the turret, but they will still lose the dragon. Blaber getting caught was really rough at the start of that. It looked like he didn't have a good angle on his Vault Breaker, and he kind of bumped into the wall, so he didn't actually get a lot of distance, which allowed Seos to catch him. Yeah, we are going to go all the way back, so I think he was trying to actually queue over the wall, but because he didn't have enough distance, he basically just bumped into it. Had he queued back towards the right, he would have been fine. In this case, he thought he was going to be able to make that wide wall and get all the way out of there. But with him going down, it really made it impossible for him to actually contest this dragon. C9 actually play out the 4v4, or 4v5, excuse me, very, very well. You know, they killed off Seos. We're back to live, though. We're back to fighting.
Yeah, Seos still going to be looking, seeing if he can find that big engage. Remember, that is the main trigger pull on Shopify Rebellion. Contractz eating some poke here. Nice double stun from Seos, who is now very low on health, mind you. C9 taking notice of this. Piercing arrow does not hit the Leona, but because of the compromised health bars on Seos and Fudge, Shopify are trying to get away. Loki hops off the Weaver's wall early. Fires a couple of rocks into Contractz, but nothing more to be found.
Yeah, gets the flash off Contractz, though, so that's pretty nice, because Contractz does have a hefty bounty on him right now, is very far ahead of the pace of the game. Almost that full 2-level lead has been reclaimed over Blaber, so feeling really good about his spot. But if they could kill him off, again, that's so much of their power. So Contractz without flash could be punishing. We'll see if Cloud9 can capitalize on that later on. As Vulcan is going to get chunked out a little bit here from Palafox, but not too worried. Loki's been doing pretty well, I feel like, in this game. He's playing through the side lanes well. Yep. He's been pretty impactful in these 5v5 skirmishes also. But always going to have to be very careful about his positioning just because there's so much dive on Shopify's side.
He's certainly having a better game than he had on day one, right? The Rise game was really rough. Right now, looking at the clocks on everything, it's a little bit over 3 minutes until we will get what is the Infernal Soul spawning for Shopify. You know that is going to be a fight. You know C9 will not want to give it away. They try to engage. Seos misses the Zenith Blade, though, but Contractz is ready to jump right in onto Loki. They turn the aggro back on over to Blaber, who's down to 100 HP, barely getting away now. The damage over time from the Darkened Daggers, not enough to do him in. Shopify Rebellion. I'm loving the killer instinct we're getting, but it comes up just short.
Again, it's just Seos and Contractz. This duo is looking so strong in this game. Thanatos spotted over the wall, has to be careful. And that was critical. I mean, if Blaber dies there, that's Baron. Very, very likely. Loki loses his flash. He has to get out. They just don't have enough damage to actually finish off Contractz, even though he was missing his summoner. So Cloud9 lucky to get out of there. Do want to try to fight and reclaim some vision around that Baron area because they don't have a lot right now. But Contractz is here, and you cannot underestimate him. So Vulcan going to be getting chunked down.
Yeah, luckily for him, has the Aftershock to get rid of a little bit of that lasting damage. Contractz, there's not a lot of range on Darkened Daggers. It's nice because you get the 2 casts, the extra little burst of execute damage if you get the second one, but still not a whole lot to work with once he's got some distance.
Yeah, but at the very least, he defended the wards, right?
Yep.
They couldn't actually get in and clear out any vision. Now, they were thinking, okay, we know that Bvoy's on a reset timer, most of Shopify's on a reset timer. We're going to move in, we're going to clear out these wards, get some of our own vision. But him being there, it wasn't really that he was threatening Vulcan with a kill, but he defended the pink ward, he pushed him back, and he's clearing out more vision in the area. Contractz has just been controlling this whole zone while his team was on the reset. Now Seos is back, so Cloud9 again are going to be struggling to get vision in this area to be able to even approach in their jungle so they can keep eyes on the Baron.
Well, 2 minutes have passed, and we had a near kill on Blaber, but that's it. And we're just that much closer now to the Infernal Soul spawning. It's under 90 seconds. C9 must have an answer for this. They must be ready to respond to Shopify. You already talked about how powerful this Infernal Soul is going to be on a team that has such high damage. Shopify, though, they might just lose Contractz, and that would be huge. Hound's Pursuit to try to drop some of the aggro, jumps back over the wall, but Thanatos is ready and waiting. They find Contractz and C9. That was huge at the biggest possible moment. Thanatos coming in to cut off the escape route with a Mega Gnar into the wall. Watch him fall. Shopify nowhere to run. The car crashes into the ditch right when they needed to avoid it most. C9 with the biggest play of the game so far.
Nobody steals Blaber's Raptors 10 times in a row. They catch him at the scene of the crime. That time they were waiting. They sent everything for Contractz there, and he still almost looked like he was going to get out, even without the flash. But the Q flash engaged from Blaber. The Weaver's wall comes through. Vulcan is there. Thanatos is over the wall to collect the kill as he's trying to get out. And then everything goes pear-shaped for Shopify. They knew he wanted to reinvade. Look at this. Q flash into the ulti, into the combo, into the seismic shove. Gets into his W, is able to immune that, hops over the wall, and you think, oh no, he really gets out, but then you see Thanatos is there, Zven is there, they're able to finish him off, and now it's just a full-on retreat because Shopify is very segmented. You can see Fudge was not with the team, he was completely separate, and so it became this 5-man collapse on the 3-man squad there. You honestly couldn't even tell that they're winning watching Reaper.
No, Reaper is cold, man. There is ice in his veins as now Contractz is in some trouble again. Stuck in the pit, has to use Hound's Pursuit, trying to stay alive. A little bit more damage isn't there. It's secured by Blaber, but the Vi is first to drop. Fudge tries to get away from the unraveled earth. Shopify need to try to exit the pit, and they need to get out with as many men still alive as they can. Loki's ready for the chase as the Weaver's wall goes after Palafox. Seos and Fudge are both already down. It's a 2-for-1 plus a dragon for C9. Contractz at least just trying to get his Krug, wants to provide a little bit of protection for Bvoy if he can, but C9 still wants more. They're not quite going to find it, and Shopify again come up short in the fight.
Nice little attempt to predict there from Loki, though he put the seismic shove where the shift was going to put him, so Bvoy had to shift, then immediately flash as he realized he was shifting into that seismic shove. Cloud9, though, full court press here. They have the Baron buff. They win the fight. That means there's going to be greater rewards to be able to be picked up. It's now already a 3,000 Red Bull Baron power play on it. And we can watch this one more time. This one became very dicey. Blaber tries to look for the turn onto Contractz, but the Dragon is still getting hit. Cloud9 never really stopped damage on it, so it just became a straight-up flip. Blaber clearly wanted to turn and go for the fight. Contractz early smote, though, down to about 700. Hard to blame him when you're that low and it's that high of a pressure situation. But some miscommunication on the Cloud9 side allowed Contractz to have a shot. They get the kill on Blaber after they lose it, but then just the higher health bars are really what allows Cloud9 to push through and go for the win.
C9 coming back real fast in this game. I feel like the gold lead for so long was very modest for Shopify, right? Talking 500, 1,000, something around there. And then now it's a 5,000 nearly gold lead for C9 after that big catch near the Baron. Vulcan and the rest of the squad now taking over the top side of the Shopify jungle, using the pressure, using the Baron, takes down the tier 2 turret up here in the top lane. And now, Azael, it's not just that Shopify have lost that window at the earliest possible soul. It's now they're the ones feeling the pressure, like, I don't know if we can beat these guys in an open fight.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Cloud9 has been playing the map better throughout the game, I think, than Shopify. That's why they were keeping it even, despite being at, a kill deficit. But now that they've started picking up some kills, they got some major objectives, and it is going to be really, really hard because you're looking across at some of these item completions. You're looking across at some of the gold gaps. You look up in top lane, it's 3.5 items to just the 2. You look in mid lane, 3.5 items to just the 2, with some really expensive ones. Fully stacked Roa, Death Cap, Archangels, and a Seekers ready to be used is very tough to deal with from Loki. Zven as well, he is getting close towards that 4th item, so it's going to be tough now for Shopify because Contractz only won with a gold lead, and it's a smaller one than pretty much everything on the other side.
One thing surprising about this game to me, in a game where the kills are dead even, and the Dragons are split 3-2, and the Grubs are split, like there's been a lot of all these objectives getting split, both marksmen are still deathless. They're the only 2 players in the game that haven't died yet, but both Bvoy and Zven have not been dropped a single time.
Fighting minions.
Yep, that's just what you got to do sometimes. Farm it up. If you're not 6 items, are you really ready for the team fight?
No, you're not. It's always more. And even when you are 6 items, what if you want to change your items later?
Right. If
it's time to farm.
You need to have that 4,000 gold nest eggs in case you need to swap your shoes around or buy a couple elixirs of wrath or whatever they're called.
Who knows? Some tariffs could get put in on some of these items. Might cost more in the future.
Oh, no, dude. 900 gold elixir of wrath.
Exactly, right? You got to save up.
Well, Contractz is trying to save Shopify's chances in this game right now. The one man left on their side who still has a gold advantage for himself. You were already talking about the item advantages, but just the raw gold value, plus 2,500 for both solo laners on C9, plus 1,500 in the marksman role. It's almost plus 500 just in supports, man. So everybody else on Shopify really falling behind now. 6,000 gold total lead for C9. We've got 60 seconds till the Drake spawns. 65 until the Baron spawns. It's another one of those interesting map states where both buffs are up at the same time and both are very important. And in that situation, it's almost always the team with the lead that can just wait for their opponents to make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very heavily in their favor, but something working for Shopify. Death Cap now completed for Palafox. That is a really big buy. And they still have a very strong, high-damage jungler. If they can find the perfect engage, I do think there is an opportunity for them. Someone like Zven could still get 100 to 0'd, and then the fight becomes a very different beast. I don't think Loki is really that viable of a target unless he's in a very bad spot at this point. And Thanatos is getting pretty beefy, so he's going to be tough to take down. It really does feel like it's kind of Zven or bust. But Zven, is going to know that, and he's going to be positioning quite far back and having his support play around him. So we'll see if Shopify can get anything done. There's just not a lot of vision. It's so tough to find these fights when you don't have any eyes on anyone.
Yeah, teleport coming in now as Shopify squares up to fight for the Infernal Soul, hoping that a win here might be able to get them back to an even level of power against this accelerated C9 as Loki just throws out the Weaver's Wall. Everybody is stuck on the wrong side except for Seos, who's going to get bursted down before anything else even happens.
Thanatos.
C9 got a 5v4, and Thanatos has a Mega Gnar bar fully charged. He's looking for the opportunity. He finds the slam on a Bvoy, and there's the first marksman death this game. Shopify have already lost 3 Contractz. The dog got took behind the shed too. There is nobody safe. Palafox knocked back by Vulcan. Zven's not close enough to continue the damage. C9 has stopped the soul. They've killed 3. They're pushing into the enemy base, and Fudge cannot find a way back. Blaber just running them around in circles, keeping them occupied, keeping them busy. Seos is going to respawn in about 3 seconds, but there's no Contractz, no Bvoy for 25. Seos and Palafox stepping up to try to stop C9 from ending the game, but Palafox is already dead. Seos just scrambling to try to waste their time, but there's no way. The piercing arrow gets him, and now finally Fudge is back home, only to be buried with the rest of his team. 13-7, 35 minutes into the game. C9 finds their first win of Split 2.
First marksman death is also the last as Bvoy gets picked off. The game just ends. Cloud9, really good setup for that final dragon fight. Highlighted really well by the observers. It's so tough to approach that kind of a fight as Shopify when you have no vision anywhere and you're playing this comp that needs to be able to attack from different angles. Cloud9 set it up really well. Thanatos finds a good flank. They have a good Weaver's Wall. They pick off Seos, and then it was kind of just full retreat from Shopify. Cloud9 did a really good job of withstanding the early pressure from Shopify. All of these invades. Contractz played a great early game, but it's Cloud9 at the end of the day.